What you are about to watch may sound calm, even reassuring on the surface, but it actually reveals something far more serious about how power, obedience, and accountability work inside a democracy, especially one under political stress.
Thank you for your lifetime of service to our nation, and thanks to your family for putting up with your lifetime of service, and to some members of your family who are also wearing the uniform. We appreciate what you've done for our country. Congratulations on your nominations as well. I apologize, I had to step out for a few other commitments, and I can't get back and be here for fewer than 2 minutes without hearing the Democrats talk about illegal orders, which has been much in the news as of late. So I asked General Gio, Northcom commander, I'm not quite sure how it's pronounced, but that's the Arkansas pronunciation, whatever it is, if in his vast and storied career he had ever received an illegal order. And he said no. So General Donovan, I would like to ask you, have you ever received an illegal order?
No, Senator.
And you're a pretty high-speed Marine, as I understand it. You've been out on the front a lot in your lifetime. So from the time you were Lieutenant Donovan to the time now where you've got 3 stars and you're about to add a 4th, no one has ever given you an illegal order.
No, Senator.
General Rudd, you're a pretty high-speed soldier. I see a lot of impressive badges on your uniform. I think it's Jump Master, Military Freefall Jump Master, more commonly known as Halo. I think I even see Scuba, very rare in the Army. A Ranger Tab, a Combat Infantryman badge. In all of your vast military experience, have you ever received an illegal order?
No, Senator.
Not even from Lieutenant Rudd as a quartermaster, all the way up to 3-star general, and now about to be 4-star general. No one's ever given you an illegal order.
No, Senator.
Well, it seems to me that our military does a very good job of training our troops from the time they enlist as privates or the time they commission as lieutenants, all the way up to your level and to the commander-in-chief, not to issue illegal orders. Or, especially at your level, when you have lawyers hanging around you all the time, to seek their counsel, as anyone would. I bet, as some of the politicians on this dais understandably seek legal counsel in affairs related to their job. So I'm glad to hear from so many of our military's senior leaders that our military has done such a good job of ensuring that our troops don't receive an illegal order. General Donovan, I'd like to return to a topic that I also know has been addressed, and this is the presence of such a large number of forces in the Southcom area of responsibility, and whether that drains forces from other regions like PACOM and CENTCOM. Although I have to say, I think the people asking those questions wouldn't like those forces to be employed in PACOM or CENTCOM either. It's more of a gotcha question. But understanding, General Donovan, that any combatant commander in any combatant command's answer for how many forces he needs is always going to be more, please. Could you explain a little bit about how, if confirmed, you'll manage the needs of maintaining security with a proper force posture in your area of responsibility, along with those others around the world, especially in the old world at EUCOM, CENTCOM, and PACOM?
Senator, I'm very aware after 3 years in the Pentagon of the push-pull between each of the geographic command commands and the spreading out our very, in many ways, our very high-demand, low-density assets, a carrier strike group, nuclear submarine, a marine amphibious unit, expeditionary unit. So very aware of that natural tensions that's there, but I pledge, if confirmed, to work with the Joint Staff to ensure that Southcom's needs are registered and met. And if we do lose assets, what are the other capabilities we can bring to bear from other hard power type assets, physical assets, to increase resourcing for some of the softer power to counter the PRC malign and the influence in the region.
Thank you again, gentlemen, for your lifetime of service.
Senator Tom Cotton opens by thanking the generals, flattering their service, and establishing credibility. That's not accidental. By the time he pivots to mocking Democrats, the audience is already primed to trust him and trust the officers. He then frames the entire issue of illegal orders as media hype and partisan noise, something Democrats supposedly obsess over without justification. This framing is crucial because it allows him to dismiss the concern before it's even properly explained. When Cotton asks, "Have you ever received an illegal order?" he knows exactly what the answer will be. Senior officers almost always say no, not because illegal orders never exist, but because that's not how unlawful actions usually unfold in real life. Illegal orders are rarely explicit. They don't come stamped illegal. They come disguised as urgency, as ambiguity, as implied expectations from powerful leaders. Often, they only become clearly illegal after the fact, after courts rule, after investigations are completed, after damage is done. That distinction is what Democrats are trying to surface, and Cotton deliberately avoids it. By repeatedly getting no answers, Cotton constructs a false conclusion that because these generals personally haven't received illegal orders, the system itself is immune from abuse. That's a comforting story, but it's not historically accurate. Professional training and legal counsel reduce risk, but they do not eliminate it, especially when political leaders actively pressure institutions to bend. History teaches us that unlawful military actions don't begin with rogue soldiers. They begin with political environments that reward loyalty over restraint, speed over scrutiny, and outcomes over legality. My Lai didn't happen because soldiers weren't trained. Abu Ghraib didn't happen because there were no rules. Those atrocities happened because safeguards failed under pressure, confusion, and leadership signals that accountability would be lax or non-existent. That's why Democratic senators keep asking about illegal orders, not because they think generals are reckless, but because they understand how fragile norms become when leaders undermine them. During the last administration, Americans watched inspectors general fired, judges attacked, war crimes pardoned, and legal objections brushed aside as obstacles rather than guardrails. Cotton's mockery serves another purpose. It sends a message that vigilance itself is suspect, that questioning authority is theatrical, that worrying about legality is overblown. This is how democracies slowly weaken, not through sudden coups, but through the normalization of the idea that oversight is annoying and resistance is unnecessary. Notice what Cotton never asks. He doesn't ask whether these generals would refuse an order that violated international law. He doesn't ask whether they would protect subordinates who objected. He doesn't ask whether they would resign rather than comply with an unconstitutional command. Those are the real questions, because they test moral courage, not just institutional memory. Even the general's answers, when listened to carefully, subtly reinforce the Democratic concern. They emphasize lawyers, process, coordination, and norms, but those safeguards only work when political leadership respects them. When leaders attack the legitimacy of courts, politicize legal advice, or punish dissent, those guardrails weaken quickly, no matter how well trained the officers are. Later, when Cotton shifts to force posture and global deployments, the same pattern continues. He dismisses legitimate oversight questions as gotcha tactics, while framing his own concerns as practical and reasonable. But force allocation isn't just a logistical issue, it's a political one. Where forces are placed and why reflect national priorities, alliances, and values. Treating scrutiny of those decisions as unserious again serves to insulate power from accountability. What this hearing really demonstrates is a philosophical divide. Democrats are operating from the premise that democracy survives by constantly testing its safeguards. Republicans, like Cotton, are operating from the premise that trust in authority should replace scrutiny. One approach assumes institutions are strong because they are questioned. This wasn't about whether illegal orders happen every day. It was about whether, if the wrong leader gave the wrong order at the wrong moment, anyone would be willing and protected enough to say no. If you found this breakdown helpful and want deeper, clearer analysis that goes beyond the surface of political hearings, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and share.